that happened, I discussed it quite a bit, and it scared me to death. I don't care what religion you are. I hope whatever religion you are, you pray to God we never let one of those go. Any country, this country, another country, ever lets the Bravo go, it'll cause you to go into tears if you survive. There are thermals, which annihilates everything under extreme heat. There's hydrogen, which takes a lot of the air and water out of the systems. I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you with any certainty what happened there, but these bombs were different types. But that Bravo bomb scared me to death.
Tell me about the bomb. Tell me a story about the day that went off, from the moment that you woke up, what you did, the countdown, the whole bit.
Okay, the day that I was in the laundry room doing the laundry at that time, came up aboard the main deck aft. I got up there late. They had buttoned down all of the hatches. They issued goggles to us. I didn't have a goggle. Told us to get down behind this boat. And I started getting a little scared then. I buried my head in my arm. That thing went off. Nothing happened for a second or two. You don't realize what has happened. And then all of a sudden the extreme light and heat hits you. Then if you happen to be dumb as I was and look across the water, you see the shock wave coming. It ripples the water. I mean big ripples, not little rock in the water stuff. That I turned away from it. But I didn't brace myself very well, and it knocked me a-sailing. Several of the guys that were on that side of the ship on guard duty got knocked around. And there was some injuries. There's some cut heads and things of that sort. Shortly thereafter, I was permitted to go down below again. And I went down, and I'll tell you, I was very close to tears. I can't imagine living through something like that. I would rather be in the center and not be around than to be outside and have the peripheral problem there.
What happened after? I've heard that you guys went underneath the deck.
I went below decks and went back to work.
So, if you had the chance, would you go back and watch it again?
No.
Explain to me why. Tell me why.
Fear. I've seen it once. I hope to God we never let another one off. If we do, I hope it is not in any kind of confrontation, war. You hear people say, well, we got the bomb, why don't we go over and settle that problem? They haven't seen the scars that makes. Psychologically, physically, it's awesome. I don't think they understand. Or they wouldn't say those type of things.
So what was it like psychologically for you to watch that bomb? What were the emotions and the feelings going through your head when you saw the mushroom cloud and the light? Did you think that something had gone wrong, that you were dying?
I kept thinking of people that might have been close to that. Naturally, there wasn't. But what would happen to those poor people? And it literally scared me to death. I'm a punk kid at that time. Now I don't think it would have affected me quite like that, but I'd never seen anything like that. I'm a Colorado farm boy. And all of a sudden I'm out in the ocean and half the ocean lifts up into the air. It scares you to death. Anybody that isn't scared is either a fool or a drunk.
All right. Talk about some light questions here. What was life like on the Curtis? I mean, who were your friends? Who did you hang out with?
Okay. Aboard the Curtis, you have very few clique friends. There's cliques. I had most of them as friends because I had a job that I took care of them, the laundry room. You know, if they gave me a bad time, I starched their shirts, pressed them, and sent them back to them. But they didn't. They're a nice bunch of people. Life aboard that was very structured, very structured. I went to work at 11 o'clock. I got off at 6 the next morning. I hit the sack after breakfast. Or if we happened to be in harbor, I got to go on Liberty, which was a whole different ballgame. But my friends, Jake Jacoby, the guy just in front of me here, Riggins, good man. Franklin, I'm sorry, Franklin was first. John Riggins is yet to come. They treated me real good. They're nice people. I don't know of anybody in our organization, of course it's still alive, that I wouldn't go to hell and back for. They're nice, nice people. And most of them are professionals. 3 or 4 of them that you'll interview have doctorate degrees. Okay.
What did you guys do for fun? Give me one specific example of something that you either did on the Curtis. Actually, one thing that you guys did in the Curtis, one day, one moment that you'll never forget about.
The wrestling match on the main deck aft.
Tell me about that.
Well, the Navy challenged the Marine Corps to a wrestling deal. So the skipper put up a ring, which was a boxing ring. They had 3 or 4 boxers and 3 or 4 wrestlers. I was one of the wrestlers. Pretty good shape in those days. I kicked the guy's rear. Boy, that made me feel good. Everybody's patting me on the back for once instead of giving me heck about something. And I'll never forget that. That was great.
Good story. That's exactly what I was looking for. Tell me about the UFO.
I don't know anything about it. I was below decks. I never heard or seen anything about a UFO.
Excellent. We got that on camera.
Somebody's been drinking.
All right. So tell me about the ramifications about telling people of what you were doing. The secrecy. Explain to me about that.
I didn't talk too much about it to anybody. However, if it did come up, they mistaken what we were doing with Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And they thought pretty bad of us. That's the impression I got, at least. And it didn't go over well. So I kept my mouth shut. They asked me what I did. I said, I washed clothes aboard ship. I didn't tell them where we were. Now, we were called the ghost ship. It was never in the paper when we hit dock or when we left. Most of them, of course, have it in the news. San Diegan paper, I'm not sure what the name of it, but we didn't have it. We were a ghost ship. Very similar to the Indianapolis. If somebody would have taken a wild hair and torpedoed us, they wouldn't have known that we went down for several days.
Actually, speaking of which, do you remember when this whole Russian sub was tailing your ship? Do you remember when that happened?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. What? Because I've tried to ask a few other people. Not that they don't remember, but I haven't heard the full story of it.
I'm not sure I know the full story because, again, I was...
Well, from your perspective and how you remember it.
We went to general quarters and stayed there for quite some time. Apparently there was a ship, I'm not going to say who because I really don't know for sure, that was in our area. And there was a restricted area, both flight and sea. I don't know anything about that other than that, but we were at general quarters for a while. The ship that the USS Curtis couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag because we were a floating hotel for the Atomic Energy Commission. We had a quad 40 mount, which I was a captain of that. But you guys could take a shotgun and do the damage we did on that. We did shoot down a drone once, well, behind the drone. We shot the drone behind the airplane. Ammunition practice, which is separate from what you ask. Yeah, we cut the drone, and the pilot was a little upset about it. No humor. No humor.
It was all serious, all business.
Yes.
Serious.
Well, he probably thought we were going to shoot him down.
So, did you deal with, and changing subjects here, I've heard a lot about people dealing with certain ailments after they left the Curtis and after they got out of the military. Have you experienced anything?
Yes. I've had arterial vein problems. I've had a 5 heart pass. I've had melanoma cancer and colon cancer. And I started that out pretty early. In those days, they didn't diagnose cancer quite as well. So I put up with it. And that's when I used to have a couple of drinks now and then to get rid of the pain. Later on, it came out pretty heavy. And we had it cut out. I was told by an official that 65% of our platoon came up with cancer. Most of it was melanoma. I had some melanoma. I had cancer in my body, so that gets a little rough. That's way ahead of the averages. Any other ship, any other service.
So obviously it's related. It has to be.
It has to be directly associated with that, yes. The radiation's something. Let me give you, for instance, right after I got out, I hurt my ankle. I went in and got an x-ray. They came back and said, we can't tell your x-ray. It's too much, you got radiation or something in your body. So it didn't picture out very well because of my radiation. I still have marks on my legs and back and rear end.
You're kidding me.
No. I itch constantly. And that's very embarrassing if you're in a meeting or something, you're reaching over here scratching. But that's, according to my doctor, a direct result of radiation. Ionized radiation. Apparently there's some difference.
Do you know the difference?
No.
It sounds cooler to be ionized radiation. Let's see. If you could relive your whole military experience over again, what would you have done different?
Stayed in. I'd stayed right in the Marine Corps.
Could you say that one more time, just reiterating the question?
I'm sorry, sir?
Could you say that one more time, just reiterating the question?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't hear you very well.
Could you restate the answer, but just reiterate the question? So, if I could relive this whole thing over again, I would.
If I could live the Marine Corps over again, even though we went in through that bomb, I still would have stayed in the Marine Corps. I've encouraged every young man that I can find, get in the Corps. Now, it's not like today like I used to be in, but it's still the greatest organization. And some of these young fellows that don't have a direction in life, I encourage the heck out of them to get in the Marine Corps. Let them give you a direction for a while. Then make up your mind. Stay in.
Good answer. Good answer. What was the highlight of this reunion?
Highlight, getting to meet the other guys, seeing those that are still alive. I have nothing but absolute admiration for Carrie Chapman, Red Dog's daughter. She's an absolute fabulous lady. She puts things together like this. And then, of course, she comes from good stock. Red Dog. There's a bar in San Diego called Red Dog. I don't think he owns it, but it could be.
Perhaps named after him. It could be. Very well could be. Somebody just caught something from his infectious personality.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yes. He talks too much. But
5 minutes? Okay. All right. Describe to me what's it like being back with all these guys?
Like being back what?
What's it like being back with all these guys?
Emotional, powerful, happy times, sad times. You see people that you knew, young, virile, strong like you two gentlemen. Now they're bent over. They go to the bathroom 14 times a day. Their health going. I'm lucky. I'm in pretty good shape. You know, they operated on me and got everything squared away, and I work out quite a bit. I feel pretty good. Law enforcement helped me when I went in it after the service. But it's an emotional time. Okay.
What's if you had out of all the people that didn't make it here, whether they were sick or they passed away, and this is I think one of the things we're going to cap this whole documentary with. If you could say one thing to those guys, what would it be? If you had one chance to be able to go back and say something to these guys.
If I ever offended you in any way, I apologize. In my young days, I didn't give a darn. If I offended you, fine. Now, I understand how important that is to not offend people, particularly my buddies. And I apologize to them. I do that every day. If I see that I've aggravated them on something, I'll make amends to it. The Marine Corps teaches you to handle your buddies, be with your buddies, help your buddies. Now, I was never in when there were females, so I can't say men and women, I just say men.
Nice. All right, I think that's all, unless you have any other questions that you want to ask. Do you have anything that you'd like to sum up with? Anything
Yeah, get the T-shirt off of him. Raiders, and he's from Colorado.
I know. That's we give him hell all the time. Anyway, it's his fault. He's the one that loses money off all the bets. So, let's just say you're any one of these other guys talking about you. What would you say?
If I was what?
Any one of these other guys
would say about me?
Yeah.
That's great. What would they say about me? Bullheaded. Well, I don't know. Nothing you could put on a camera.
Perfect. That's it.
Alrighty, gentlemen, thank you.
No, sir.